It truly is a one-of-a-kind attraction.
You know, it's a generational ride.
So everybody loves it. You know, the young kids love it, the parents love it.
The Kangaroo. No, not this one. This Kangaroo. It came to Kennywood way back in 1962.
Oh, it's just one of those family rides that have been here forever.
60 years later, the Kangaroo will be brand new again, fully refurbished for a new generation. But there's a lot of work to do to get this iconic attraction back in action this summer. So come with us. We'll talk to people, dive behind the scenes, and share lots of memories.
Let me just pick up where we left off.
In 2022, the Kangaroo bounces back to Kennywood.
What's going on now is we're getting all our conduit placed. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see we have the conduit up for the operator's booth.
Well, things are pretty busy at Kennywood right now, but let's back up to 2020, November 2020.
So when you refurbish a ride, first you need to find a manufacturer to do it, but you have to upgrade and make it current with the current standards for rides. Very missed last year when it was gone. It needed a little overhaul. It was really the fans. The fans told us they wanted it back, so we started researching into what it would take to bring the Kangaroo back.
I was extremely excited that we were bringing the Kangaroo back, and I know all of our guests will be just as excited, again because it is a classic for the amusement industry, but also a classic for Kennywood.
As someone who grew up coming to Kennywood and having the same connection to the ride that so many of our guests do, I knew that it was going to be a big deal, and it was.
When it was time to announce such an iconic ride would return, we knew it had to happen in an attention-grabbing fashion.
We wanted to build up a lot of hype, and we wanted to have a lot of fun.
And so we were kind of engaged, by the team over at Kennywood to help tell that story and kind of craft a campaign to get some engagement.
Personally, for me, this was a special project. My mom grew up in McKeesport, and so Kennywood picnics, that was a big part of her childhood. And so she would tell me Kangaroo was my favorite ride.
Obviously when you're trying to tease something that you don't want to, you don't have a ton of assets, you don't have a whole lot to show because it's pretty secretive, it's in development. How do you do that? How do you create anticipation? And so that whole teaser really was kind of built around this iconic sound.
One of the most distinct features of the Kangaroo is the noise that it makes when hopping off the ramp. And our initial social post teasing the announcement was of sound waves of that particular noise. And that kind of carried through almost everything we teased over the next few days. And it was heavily included in the reveal video. So we had a really cool custom soundtrack created to the tempo of that iconic.
The most rewarding part about that video was just seeing the response on social, seeing Kennywood guests just gush.
We wanted to give our guests two options to vote on, and we narrowed it down from a number of designs. And I think we made the right decision landing on classic and vintage.
The 50s and 60s, what a futuristic, all the mid-century kind of flavor was certainly in spectacular display in the park in those decades. And so it had this great history, and we wanted to kind of use that as the inspiration and build on that. So the classic take that we took, it was a very monoline design from the icon and the topography. The kind of vintage direction was where we leaned probably even harder into that mid-century feeling.
There is a very distinctive throwback look and feel. The color palette's fun.
And so like, what could we do with the type? Could we actually like make the type look like it was hopping and bouncing and have some movement to it? But it allowed us to, you know, create a lighting package that had kind of the same fun dynamics, and to Chris's point, like had that nostalgia. So kind of the chasing sort of bulb lights within the type that sits as kind of the backdrop of the piece.
With the options for the Kangaroo's new look narrowed down to 2, the time had come to make a decision.
You know, we know how much the Kangaroo means to our guests. So our, goal when approaching the drawing board and bringing the ride back was really to include them as much as possible.
When the news broke that the Kangaroo would return in 2022, we put the ride's new look up for a vote for the people to decide. And we found a pretty clear consensus.
Vintage! Vintage! We want vintage!
There was just something about the vintage look.
It's like the old school look.
It takes you back.
Nostalgia wins the day.
I can't wait to see people get on it and take a ride on it and see the joy that it brings back.
With the announcement made and vintage designs selected, it was time to take a road trip. Get ready to hop in next time.